There's a couple different things that can happen after week 14 in the National Football League. And one of those things is that the Detroit Lions cannot yet get into the playoffs. We've discussed this already. No matter what happens, no matter what the outcome of last night's game was, whether it was a win or a loss, the Detroit Lions were not going to be in the playoffs. However, with they win yesterday over the Dallas Cowboys, they are one step closer to getting back in the playoffs. I believe this is now week 14. The fourth consecutive week that the Detroit Lions have been outside of the playoffs looking in. But I have a scenario that I think that we might see a new narrative taking shape. Now, those of you who have been around for a while on this channel, shout out to you. If you've been a subscriber for longer than one day, I appreciate you as well. As you can see that the comment section is now subscriber only. It will remain that way for the foreseeable future, so I appreciate you. You know that this channel is a believer in the NFL narrative. And while I don't think that the NFL is rigged per se, I do believe that there are storylines in play and that one of the things that will happen is the refs will help dictate the outcome of a game if the need arises. All right. So if you are not that type of person or you don't want to hear it or whatever, that is your prerogative. You can click off this video. But I've been talking about this for a long time, from 2 years ago when we lost to Dallas with the person that didn't report as eligible, Dan Skipper, and the 2-point conversion that was wiped off the board from the Matthew Stafford narrative that has pretty much been shaping up since he got traded to LA and Detroit took Jared Goff. There's been that narrative, man, that has been in play, and a lot of my predictions have come true. Well, I got another one. Yesterday, with our win over the Dallas Cowboys, it makes things a lot more interesting down the stretch. And we've talked about how the Detroit Lions can make the playoffs. Well, this video is going to be a little bit different. We need to get in the playoffs, but I see something else happen to get in the playoffs. It might come down to a different person, a person that is in this division, used to be part of our team, and is now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And that is, it could come down to a scenario that the Detroit Lions are in a win and get in situation to the 2025 playoffs. But it gets even better than that, depending on what team of a fan you are. But before we go and I show you that scenario, let's look at the current playoff standings. You've got right now heading into the main discourse, the main meat and potatoes, man, of the main entree of week 14. You've got the Chicago Bears in number 1. Now, I believe there are a host of different things that can happen. The Bears and the Rams are basically essentially tied, but the Rams have the tiebreaker probably based off of division or something like that. Then you go down to the Eagles that have a possibility to also be to get their 9th win of the season. So all three of these teams could be 9-4 by the end of week 14, or it could be the other way around. Then you go down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to probably be in a race with the Carolina Panthers for that NFC South crown. There's pretty much the only two teams that can do it at this point. Then you have the Seahawks that they could also jump up. Look at that NFC West is super crowded. Again, it's going to be 3 teams from the West that's going to get in the playoffs. And you got the Green Bay Packers, and they face the Chicago Bears. We will be doing that game on this channel. I should be setting up the stream sometime in the near future. And then you have the 49ers who are off this week. And you can see there, it is a 91% chance. So if we go back up to the top, the Bears, it gets kind of tricky. If they lose against the Green Bay Packers, they have a 67% chance to make the playoffs. Currently, it sits at 74%. If they win, they are pretty much a shoo-in. Now, Detroit winning yesterday actually probably, no doubt, lowered both of these numbers because of what we'll get to in a second. The LA Rams, they currently have a 96% chance to make the playoffs with a 89% chance if they lose, and of course a 98% if they win. They'll have 4 games left after this. You have the Philadelphia Eagles. They currently have a 96%. If they lose, a 93%, and if they win, a 99%. That will be why Philadelphia Eagle fans were in my comment section yesterday thanking the Detroit Lions. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Somebody from the South will get in there. We don't really care about them. Then we have the Seattle Seahawks. They are currently 92%. You can see most of the West is all over 92%, and we haven't even got to the 49ers yet. If they lose, 81, and if they win, 96%. So I think it's a safe bet to say that the West will be the division that has the 3 playoff teams. You have the Packers currently 88%. If they lose, a 74. If they win, a 94. And then we see right here, the 49ers are a 91. So if we look and we compare 88, 74 to 94, and we go up to the Bears, it is actually smaller, a smaller percentage for the Bears all the way around. And that's what we're going to get into. All right. But let's go down and see. So the Detroit Lions right now remain the 8th seed with that win over the Dallas Cowboys. Had they lost, they would have actually switched spots with the Panthers. So the Cowboys right now are 10. This would have been the Lions. I assume that the Panthers would have moved up. So you can see now the Panthers took the Cowboys spot. We remained in our same spot, and the Dallas Cowboys dropped down 1 spot. And then, of course, we go down here and we see the teams that eliminated. Those are the teams that were eliminated before. All right. No, that is the wrong transition. So we are going to use the right one next time. But here's what I wanted to show you. This is where it gets really, really good at. All right. So let's go to the playoff machine. And again, I'm talking about narrative here. Matthew Stafford will always be part of the narrative as long as the Detroit Lions have Jared Goff and the LA Rams have Matthew Stafford. The Detroit Lions LA Ram narrative will continue. So we've seen that story a couple times now. We had to go to, as a matter of fact, we went to LA year 1 when we had only won 3 games. Jared Goff lost that game. Matthew Stafford, we don't play them the year in between that. Then in 2023, Stafford has to come to Detroit in Detroit's first playoff game at Ford Field, first playoff game in 30-something years in Ford Field. It's crazy. All these different stats. First time we won the NFC North, he came, we won by 1 point. Then fast forward to 2024, we opened the season with that same team. And I believe that one of those games, I think that game is the one that went to overtime, or it was very close to it or something like that. So Jared Goff now goes to LA the next game, and Matthew Stafford has a chance to tie this thing up. Right now, it is 2-1 in favor of the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff has won both games at Ford Field, and Matthew Stafford has won the lone game at SoFi. So we'll see if he can tie that up. So that narrative will always be a thing, and right now the Rams are kind of cruising along. They had the first seed until they lost against the Carolina Panthers, and then the Bears took over. But check this out. So I've gone through a scenario because what I was trying to see is, was there any type of, like, when could the Detroit Lions be in the playoffs at the earliest? I like to take it week by week. And in doing that, I found a completely different situation that I think that really could shape out. Now, if you look at week 14, these are my genuine picks. I just found out that Rome, and I know Bears fans will comment in the comment section, so shout out to you guys, but the number 1 target for Caleb Williams is not playing. So I did pick the Bears, but I could also, for this scenario, I will not change it. I got to keep it like it is, all right? So we'll just say that the Bears win this game. I've gone through, and the Lions have already beaten the Cowboys, so we see that. Then you have the games that will affect us. Pretty much the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, they face off against each other. Right here, you've got this team right here. You can see all of these teams. The way that I have it, I have these teams winning. All right. So take a look at that and we'll go forward. Here is week 15. Now, week 15, going into the Dallas Cowboy game, I picked us to lose that game as I picked us to lose against the LA Rams. We lost Brian Branch. Kirby Joseph could be back. So we'll see how the Rams shape up in week 14, and I'll give you a different assessment. But for the sake of this video, I'll have the Rams winning this game because I don't want to change anything and mess up the prediction that I have. You can see that the Bucs will beat the Falcons, go to the next NFC matchup. I've got the Bears beating the Cleveland Browns. I've got the Washington Commanders with the return of Jaden Daniels beating the New York Giants. None of this stuff really matters, but I want to make sure that this is how I stay on track. I have the San Francisco 49ers beating the Tennessee Titans, the LA Rams losing or beating the Detroit Lions. I have the Carolina Panthers beating the Saints, and then the Dallas Cowboys beating the Minnesota Vikings, okay? So that is through week 15. Go to week 16 now. I have the Lions beating the Steelers. This is what I legit think would happen. Then I think that, let's say that this is what I picked, that the Chicago Bears are going to drop one. I think these two teams are going to split. I don't think it matters whether it's home or away. That's going to change anything. I got the Rams beating the Seahawks, even though they're going to be on the road. So if you look and see all of this stuff, right, the San Francisco 49ers beat the Colts. You have this game doesn't really matter. And then we're going to go on. I have the Cowboys beating Justin Herbert and the Chargers at the crib. I don't know how Herbert's left hand is going to be. All right, so fast forward to 17. Now, this is when it gets good. Got the Cowboys beating the Washington Commanders. I have the Lions beating the Minnesota Vikings. Then we skip here. I've got the Ravens beating the Green Bay Packers. I also have the San Francisco 49ers beating the Chicago Bears. I know Bears fans going to think I'm hating, but I'm not. And then I have the LA Rams beating the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, now let's fast forward to the last week of the National Football League. Now, you can already see I have this selected again. This is how I think that the season's going to go. All right. I'm not being biased. I think the season's going to go like this. I think that we're probably going to lose to the Rams, but we have a good chance. We beat you guys before, so we can beat them again. So I've got the LA Rams beating the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray is up for the year. Then we're going to fast forward. I've got the Eagles beating the Washington Commanders. I've got the San Francisco 49ers beating the Seattle Seahawks. Then we're going to go down to here, and we're going to skip the Lions for right now. Now, I can't clear it, so I can't uncheck this. Otherwise, it won't disappear. I've got the Falcons beating the Saints. I've got the Green Bay Packers beating the Minnesota Vikings. All right, now check this out. Now I will show you the outcome of this. Check this out. If it went like I said, okay, and the Lions were to, let's go back and make sure that I have week 15. I've got the LA Rams winning. So I have the Lions, they won their game, they lose to the Rams, and then they win the last three. If that happens, and the Chicago Bears, they would, of course, lose to us. If these things happen, check this out. Let's go to week 18. The Detroit Lions would be the third seed if it played out just like this. And that's all I'm worried about. I'm not worried about any other type of scenario, just except the one I cooked up. The Detroit Lions would be the third seed. The Chicago Bears would be the seventh seed. But check this out. Look who's missing. The Green Bay Packers all of a sudden are missing from this list. But here's the key. Watch this. If I was to go up here and change this to a Chicago Bear win, look what happens. The Chicago Bears become the second seed. The Green Bay Packers are now in the playoffs, and the Detroit Lions are not. Okay, now let's go back and keep everything the same. Let's have the Bears winning week 18. Let me go back and say that the Detroit Lions beat the Rams, and this is what's different. Will that put us in? It would put us as the seventh seed. So if we beat the Rams but lose to the Bears, we would be the seventh seed. If we lose to the Rams and lose to the Bears, and it goes as I said, we will be out of the playoffs. So what narrative do I see cooking for week 18 and the 25 season for the Detroit Lions? Well, the Matthew Stafford narrative is always going to be there. As I said earlier, it's not going anywhere. And Matthew Stafford, if they are the first seed, the Detroit Lions are going to have to go back to LA. And you talking about a demon for Jared Goff to conquer, that would be something. To go back into basically the house that he didn't get to play in, and as a Ram, and put his former team out of the playoffs. And you're talking about meeting at this point. Well, if they're the number one seed, Goff ain't nowhere to be found if it went just like this. So let's put the Lions back in. Let's have them win it. And it would be like this. So you would see this would be an exact duplicate of 2023 when we were the third seed and we went into the first seed, which would be the LA Rams at this point. Previously in 2023, it was the San Francisco 49ers. So the narrative that I see cooking is week 18. It is a win and get in type situation for the Detroit Lions. With a win, the Detroit Lions not only get in, they're the third seed, but they knock out the Green Bay Packers, or the Bears win and the Lions are out of the playoffs and the Bears are the second seed. Just one scenario that I cooked up. But the narrative at play here is this last game. And a lot of Lions fans feel like it's going to come to this. This last game is going to be for the Lions. The Bears are going to be straight regardless. They're going to get, unless they have an epic collapse and lose a couple games or whatever the situation, they're going to be just fine. We're the ones that need some help. that it's going to come down to the Detroit Lions having to win that game to get in, and in the process, putting out the Green Bay Packers. Now, I know Bears fans, we haven't really got along that well because I've been not particularly nice to your coach, but that would be something. That would be something we could definitely agree on, is to put out those pesky Packers. So that is a scenario that I could see shaping up. Again, it's going to take a couple things to happen. The Detroit Lions got the victory week 14. They are going to need to at least they're going to have to go at least 3-1 in their last 4 games. So that would be the scenario there. You would have the Green Bay Packers. They would wind up going, what do I have them? I have them losing to the Bears. I have them losing to the Broncos. I then have them beating the Bears in week 16. I have them losing to the Ravens, and then they would go 2-3 down the stretch because they still have 3 games to go. And then the Bears would obviously lose to us in week 18. They would beat the Packers. They would beat the Browns. They would lose to the Packers on the rematch. They would lose to the San Francisco 49ers and then lose to us in week 17. That is a narrative that I could see shaping up. You're talking about money for the NFL. You've got former OC, coaching tree, right? You've got protege against master, mentor. You've got one fighting for their playoff life and one trying to, put out the mentor. It's crazy. It's crazy. So with a win, we'll get in, and Ben Johnson can keep us out. So that is something that I see. And then the Stafford narrative will show up a little bit later because that's a little bit later down the road. So I see a win and get in scenario, but a way that, and if the Detroit Lions did win that game, the Bears would still be in the playoffs. We would be in the playoffs. So it's looking honestly like 7th seed for us, 3rd seed for us, or nothing at all. It's going to be one. It seems like it's going to be one of those 2 things. But you're talking about gravy time for the NFL. That would be something to have to go through Chicago, right? Go to Chicago, win that game to ensure it's going to be cold. It's going to be, I said that this year was very reminiscent of 2022 when we had to play to get in, but our fate was already sealed by the time we took the field. And here's another scenario as well. If it boils down to that, I can almost assure you that will be game 272. And that will be the 3rd time in 3 seasons. No, the 3rd time in 4 seasons that the Detroit Lions were the last game of the year. They were the last game of the year, game 272 in 2022. They would be 272 in 2024, and they would be 272 in 2025. So Bears fans, sound off in the comment section. Lions fans, let me know what you think of the narrative that I have painted. Again, I was just trying to see what when could we be in the playoffs and stuff like that, and wasn't really looking to make a video about it. Not yet. I was going to wait to the end of week 14, and then I saw this and was like, yo, it's right there. Again, the narratives haven't really, the Ben Johnson, Matthew Stafford narrative was there, but I was trying to figure out how it could be in play. And with that win over the Bears in week 2, it really sets up nicely for a week 18 win and get in for us. And we also get to put the Packers out. So that would be crazy. Wouldn't that be crazy yet again if the Lions have to put the Packers out? The only difference is we now control our own fate, and that win will actually put us in. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. This is the first day of subscriber-only videos being on, and so far it's a success. I am digging it for sure. I hope you guys will consider subscribing to the channel, and shout out to all the new subscribers we have. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. Bears fans, look, I'm not hating. This is legit how I think it could go. All right? Don't hate.